Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of 30 Plus Click with Max and Yo-Yo. And as always, I am Max and she is.
Yo yo.
Yo-Yo. And of course, we're so excited to welcome you into our studio today. This is our second on camera edition. We want to thank everybody who was so encouraging of us last week when we went on camera for the first time. This is quite new and we're quite excited and to be continuing this with you. On today's episode of the show, we do have quite an interesting rundown for you. We're going to be touching very briefly on the Diddy case that has captured the entire internet this week. We're also going to be discussing the national Ashwebi brought to us, courtesy of Mrs. Oluwemi Tinubu. And finally, we're going to be bringing you updates by IRCC, which was released earlier this week. This is for people who are interested in coming to Canada at any point. And of course, the conversation in immigration will pivot us into our guest in the studio today, which is a very special one for us, someone who is of significance to both of us, and we'll be talking about that much later in the show. So, but without further ado, let's get into it. Now, the Diddy case. Except you've been living under a rock and haven't been on the internet, you probably have heard that Sean Diddy Puff Daddy Diddy brother Love Combs was indicted this week by the New York justice system on several nefarious crimes or allegations. I want to premise the statement by saying that everything that we discuss here is from an educational standpoint. We weren't there, we do not know, and of course, from the legal standpoint, he is innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. But from some of the things that we've read online, and of course, watching the press conference that was brought to us by the U.S. Attorney earlier this week on CNN, I think I watched that. Some of the charges were ranging from sex trafficking to prostitution to RICO charges. And I hope I haven't mistaken any of the charges, but they were quite a lot. There was domestic violence, bribery, and of course, harassing potential witnesses. And it's just a lot. And so it brought us, the reason why we're bringing this case before us is because at 30 Plus Click, we always have a moment to pause and learn. And I remember this whole situation came about when last year, I think it's now about maybe a year now, I'm not really sure, when the allegations were brought by his then his ex-girlfriend, or who was his girlfriend of 10 years at the time, Cassie. She exposed a number of charges, a number of allegations, some of which we ended up seeing on video. I remember seeing discussions on the internet when people kept on asking, well, if he's so guilty, why did she bring only a civil suit and why not a criminal case at him? And I remember seeing the comments on social media, on Twitter, I would say that someone mentioned that the person, I can't remember the handle now, but the person was quite ahead of the times because the person mentioned that, oh, she probably bought the civil case because it opened the door for the criminal system, for the attorney office to look into much serious charges. And 1 year later, here we are discussing the indictment of Sean Diddy Combs. If you're someone who grew up on hip hop, this is big news. And of course, like everybody on the internet this week, you've probably consumed quite copious amounts of people pontificating, giving their own theories about what happened, what they think happened, what they've always suspected, and all whatnot. But from us on the 30 Plus Clique, I'm just short of words, Yo-Yo. I'm short of words. I know, like, when I shared that news with you, it was like, it's such a dirty allegation, right? How did you feel when reading that?
I took up my time to read and uncover this to know what is actually going on. And so I am not into music. I'm not into the worldly music, but from everything, I always try to learn. And I came up with some very salient points and lessons that I personally took in myself. And so I really don't want you to just, this news does not, there's nothing in it for me. I am not a public figure. I'm not a music star. I am not in America. There's something you can learn. So some of the lessons that personally I want to share from Mr. Combs' current story is this: you must be so sensitive to know when you're manipulated in any form of relationship. And it doesn't have to be a emotional relationship. It can be platonic relationship. It can be a relationship between you and your friends. So, but also know when there is manipulation on the table, because manipulation most times is not uncovered. But if you are not too focused on what is the need for me, what will I gain from this person, what will I start to benefit from this thing, that is when we really blind our eyes to manipulation. But if you're very, very neutral, you'll be able to see whether you're being manipulated, you'll be able to see whether you're being taken advantage of. And so when those little signals start coming up, turn on your antenna. It is time to ask questions. If you cannot ask questions, it is time to seek counsel. Never be too afraid to talk about it, because when you talk about it, you might not be able to know what manipulation looks like, but someone might be able to spot it. I think you're being manipulated, and I think these are the strategies that you can do to navigate a manipulated relationship, Max.
And I think that that is quite a very important point. And I think for me, from my point of view, is I know that a lot of people have pontificated about this whole situation. A lot of people have given advices, thoughts, and opinions. A lot of people have said what they thought. But for me, I want to turn the spotlight onto the alleged victims, because I watched the press conference and the U.S. attorney was saying there were plural. And I think there was a case in point when I read some when the Shade Room on Instagram posted some, again, alleged conversations of him and one of the victims, and the person said, I'm not a rag doll. I'm someone's child. And I think that was in relation to so many other things that were conversed, but like that line, I'm not a rag doll, I am someone's child, it really spoke to me, and it really stopped me right there in my tracks. And so to the victims of this situation, I do hope that you're okay, or to the alleged victims, I do hope that you're okay. I do hope that you're safe. I do hope that you feel better. And I know that it must not be easy, to be reliving, or as everybody's now having this conversation on the internet, to be rehashing some of probably what was the darkest times of your life. I know this must not be easy, so I encourage you to seek the help that you need to ensure that you're not being triggered or being put back in situations that I hope survived and now are thriving. I am also sorry that you had to go through this. There's no amount of excuse that makes this okay. This should have never happened. Domestic violence in any form of in a relationship is not okay. Talk more of coercion and all of the other alleged things that were being said. So I'm sorry that this was your life, and I'm sorry that this was your story. This is or allegedly your story. But just know that even though it took some time, but we're here now, and I hope that you get the justice that you deserve, because you truly deserve justice, and nobody, absolutely nobody, deserves to be treated in this way. You're what more, you're going to go on and have a better life, and hopefully this sends a signal to other people who are engaging in this kind of alleged activity to know that every day might be for the thief, but one day for the owner of the house. And to the young people who are coming up and looking to be successful, I do understand, and I'm actually noticing that there is a level of success that you will reach in life that you start to think that you are higher than the law, or you start to think yourself untouchable. Listen, our people used to say every day for the thief, but one day for the owner. So it doesn't matter how long it takes. If you engage in alleged nefarious activities, one day the curtain will be pulled down and your story will be told. Now, how you want your legacy to be told is left for you to decide. So as we continue to grow in life and we continue to become successful, I do encourage us to walk the straight and narrow. The Bible always tells us that that road is not easy, but it's probably the best for you. And that is where we're going to leave it on this Diddy or did he do it? Didn't he do it? Diddy brother love situation. We will be following the course of this trial. We will be looking forward to seeing how this eventually unfolds in the future.
Before you move on, there is a point I want to bring out. And so there's so many relationships going out there. There's something you need to just pause right now and ask yourself, why am I in it? I can liken this towards a relationship with God. You know, God is sovereign, and sometimes we run to God. Why are you really running to God? Is it what your prayer points? Is it because of what you want to get? Is it because you need divine protection, divine provision? Is that why you're having a very good relationship with God right now? I think you want to pause to think about it. Why am I still with God? And so that Diddy is high up there. He had everything. And so sometimes we are in relationship not because we really want to be here, maybe because of what we stand to benefit, the things that are attached, those underground benefits. So think twice. Why are you in the relationship that you're in right now? Why are you holding on to those multiple strings attached to you? You want to question the why, and that would also help you to know whether that is an healthy relationship, and also that would also help you to know, okay, what is the next step for me? Even if you want to stay in that relationship, navigating the purpose of that relationship would also help you to see things differently.
And of course, it is very, very important to ask what is your why. And even if you don't feel the safety, to get out of a situation that, maybe it's not serving you, always tell people around you. And always, like I said, yes, last week, always try and get yourself to safety, and that is your safety is always paramount. And I'm sure there's several helplines for people who are undergoing domestic violence all over the world. Please reach out for help. It might be delayed, but I promise you it will not be denied.